Earth breaks with the Galactic Council and left the universe in panic. Ambassador Chen Wei walked through the long hallway of Station Harmony. His shoes made soft sounds on the metal floor. Above him, the ceiling showed the stars of 1,000 worlds. He had walked this path 300 times in the last 5 years. Today would be different. Today would be the last time. The council chamber doors opened before him. Inside, representatives from 200 species sat in their designated seats. Some had scales, others had fur, and some looked like floating clouds of gas. Chen took his place in the human section, a small area near the back. Humans always sat in the back. Hierarch Veltoth rose from the central platform. His serpentine body coiled gracefully as he spoke. His voice translated into every language through the neural implants all representatives wore. The council recognizes the petition from Earth, Veltoth said. His tone carried no warmth. Once again, humanity requests full membership status. Once again, we must review their progress. Chen felt his jaw tighten. He had heard these words before, 15 times before to be exact. Humanity has served the Council for 150 years. Veltoth continued. They have contributed much. However, full membership requires more than service. It requires cultural maturity. It requires wisdom. These qualities take time to develop. Around the chamber, other representatives nodded. Some looked bored. This was routine for them. Just another day of keeping the young species in their place. Therefore, Veltoth announced, Earth's petition for full membership is denied. They will remain on probationary status. Furthermore, the Council requires an additional conscription of 500,000 human soldiers for the Outer Rim conflicts. 500,000. Chen did the math in his head. That brought the total to just over 47 million humans sent to fight Council wars in the last 80 years. 23 million had never come home. He stood slowly. May I speak? Veltoth's eyes, dark and cold, fixed on him. The probationary observer may address the council. Thank you, Hierarch. Chen kept his voice level. I have a question about the conscription. How many soldiers have other species contributed to the Outer Rim conflicts? That information is not relevant to... The Thelian Confederacy sent 12,000, Chen interrupted. It was forbidden to interrupt the Hierarch, but Chen no longer cared. The Vrin Collective sent 8,000. The Press Union sent none. Earth has sent 47 million. We make up 2% of the galactic population, but provide 67% of all military forces. I find that very relevant. Murmurs filled the chamber. Some representatives looked uncomfortable. Others looked angry at his disrespect. Ambassador Chen, Veltoth's voice carried a warning. You forget your place. No, Hierarch. For the first time in 150 years, I remember my place exactly. Chen pulled a data chip from his pocket. This contains evidence of systematic exploitation, technology that humans invented, credited to other species, resources taken from Earth at prices far below market value, and most interesting, records showing that every species in this council started as a probationary member. Most achieved full membership within 30 years. The longest previous probationary period was 62 years. Earth has waited 150. The chamber erupted. Representatives shouted in a dozen languages. Veltoth slammed his staff against the platform, calling for order. Those records are classified, Veltoth said. His calm had cracked slightly. How did you obtain them? Does it matter? Chen smiled. It was not a happy smile. What matters is that every word is true. This council is not a democracy. It is a caste system, and humanity has been designated as your warrior-slave class. This is outrageous, a representative from the Kelvin species shouted. Remove him from the chamber, but Chen was not finished. Do you know what else I learned? Humans invented the quantum processing cores that run this station. We invented the medical nanites that have doubled life expectancy across the galaxy. We developed the FTL efficiency improvements that reduced travel time by 40%. All credited to other species in official records. All used freely by the Council. All taken from a species you claim is too immature for a vote. Security guards moved toward Chen. He did not resist as they grabbed his arms. One more thing, he said loudly. Every human representative received the same data I have. So did every human ship captain, every human station commander, and every human colony leader. Right now, as you try to silence me, 40 billion humans are learning the truth about this council. Veltoth rose to his full height, towering over the platform. You have made a grave mistake, human. The Council's protection is all that keeps Earth safe. Without us, you are vulnerable. There are species in the dark spaces that would destroy you. Then we will deal with them ourselves, Chen said. Just as we have dealt with every other threat the Council sent us to face. The difference is we will do it as free people, not as your tools. The guards dragged him toward the exit. As the doors opened, Chen turned back one last time. Earth withdraws from all Council treaties, contracts, and obligations. Effective immediately. We will chart our own course among the stars. Thank you for the education, Hierarch. You taught us many things. Most importantly, you taught us exactly how not to treat other species. The doors closed behind him. Across the galaxy, the message spread. Human soldiers read the classified files between battles. Human engineers studied the evidence while maintaining Council stations. Human miners and farmers and teachers and doctors all learned the same truth in the same moment. They had been used. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo sat in her laboratory on Research Station Kepler, orbiting a gas giant in the Andromeda sector. She had worked for the Council's Science Division for 20 years. She had won 3 major awards for her contributions to xenobiology. The awards sat on her desk, golden and bright and meaningless. She looked at the data Chen had sent, page after page of proof. Her work on cellular regeneration, credited to a Vrin scientist. Her breakthrough in understanding dark matter interactions, attributed to a Thelian researcher. Even her name had been removed from the files. Sarah stood and walked to the laboratory door. Her team, all humans, looked at her with questions in their eyes. "Pack your things," she said quietly. "We are going home." "But the Council," one of her assistants started. "The Council can do their own research," Sarah interrupted. "We are done being invisible." On the military front near the Velkar border, Colonel Marcus Rodriguez received the transmission. He sat in his command bunker, surrounded by strategic maps and casualty reports. His regiment had lost 40% of its soldiers in the last month. The Council's orders kept coming. Hold the line, push forward, accept losses. Marcus read Chen's message 3 times. Then he stood and activated the regiment-wide communication channel. "All human forces, this is Colonel Rodriguez. Effective immediately, we are withdrawing from this conflict. Pack your gear. We are going home. Any species that tries to stop us will be treated as hostile." Rodriguez out. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Human workers left their posts. Human ships changed course. Human colonies locked their gates. In a single coordinated movement, humanity extracted itself from the Council's systems. On Station Harmony, Veltoth watched the reports flood in. Species after species reported human withdrawals, infrastructure failures, military retreats, economic disruptions. He had ruled the Council for 3 centuries. He had managed 100 crises. But this was different. Humans were everywhere in the Council systems, and he had never noticed how much depended on them. In the Council chamber, representatives began to panic. Without human technicians, life support systems were failing. Without human soldiers, military fronts were collapsing. Without human engineers, FTL networks were going dark. Veltoth made a decision. If humanity wanted to be treated as equals, they first needed to be reminded of their place. He activated the emergency protocols and authorized the largest military mobilization in Council history. 10,000 ships would go to Earth. They would restore order. They would remind humanity of the consequences of defiance. In his arrogance, Veltoth never considered that Earth might be ready. That humanity might have spent 150 years preparing for exactly this moment. That a species pushed to the edge might push back harder than anyone expected. The Armada began its journey to Sol. Behind them, the galaxy held its breath. Ahead of them, humanity waited. The illusion of unity had shattered. Now would come the truth written in fire and steel among the stars. Earth breaks with the Galactic Council and left the universe in panic. The news reached Earth within hours. Chen Wei's transmission had been broadcast on every channel, every frequency, every network that humans could access. The truth spread like fire across dry grass. Prime Minister Amara Ose stood in the United Nations building in Geneva. Behind her, the flags of every nation hung still in the climate-controlled air. Before her, the General Assembly sat in perfect silence. "We have 72 hours, she said. Her voice echoed in the vast chamber. "Intelligence reports indicate the Council is mobilizing a military response. They are sending an armada to our solar system. 10,000 ships. The largest fleet in known history, someone gasped. Others began speaking all at once. Amara raised her hand and silence fell again. For 150 years we have been patient. We have been obedient. We have sent our children to fight their wars. We have given them our inventions and watched them take credit. We have smiled while they treated us as inferiors. All of this we did because we believed in the promise of the Council. We believed that service would lead to acceptance. She paused, letting her words sink in. We were wrong. The Council never intended to accept us as equals. They built their society on a lie, and we were meant to be the foundation. Well, no more. Today we stand as free people, and when their armada arrives, they will learn what that means. The General Assembly erupted in cheers. Amara felt no joy. She knew what was coming. War, real war, not the small conflicts humanity had fought as Council mercenaries. This would be a fight for survival. In orbit around Earth, Admiral James Okafor reviewed the defense plans on the bridge of the UNS Indomitable. He was a tall man with gray hair and scars from a dozen campaigns. He had fought the Council's enemies for 30 years. Now he would fight the Council itself. Status report, he ordered. His tactical officer, Commander Lisa Zhang, pulled up holographic displays. All defense platforms are online. The asteroid belt installations are armed and ready. Mars and lunar bases report full readiness. The fleet is assembled and awaiting orders. Okafor nodded. The fleet. 3,000 warships that officially did not exist. For 50 years, humanity had been building them in secret, hidden in the outer system, disguised as mining operations and research stations. Every ship designed with one purpose, to fight the Council if this day ever came. How long until the Armada arrives? He asked. 68 hours, sir. Not much time. But it would be enough. On Mars, in the underground factories of Olympus Mons, workers prepared the final surprise. Dr. Yuki Tanaka supervised the launch sequences for what they had called the Swarm. Millions of small AI-guided drones, each no larger than a softball, each carrying enough explosive power to punch through a ship's hull. Begin launch sequence, Yuki said. Around her, technicians worked at their stations with practiced efficiency. The swarm would be invisible to most sensors. Too small, too simple, too numerous to track individually, the Council's sophisticated scanning systems were designed to detect large threats. They would never see the swarm coming until it was too late. In the asteroid belt, Colonel Maria Santos walked through the railgun platform designated as Fortress 17. It was one of 200 such platforms, each built into a large asteroid, each capable of accelerating projectiles to a significant fraction of light speed. Check every firing solution, she told her crew. When they arrive, we will only get one chance at surprise. Make it count. The crew worked in silence. They knew the stakes. Earth had always been underestimated by the Council. That had been humanity's greatest advantage. Back on Earth, in the city of Lagos, a young girl named Amara watched the news with her grandmother. She was named after the Prime Minister, though they had never met. Grandmother, are we going to die? The girl asked. Her grandmother, who had lived through 2 famines and a plague, pulled her close. We are humans, child. We have survived ice ages and plagues and wars among ourselves. We walked out of Africa with nothing but sharp sticks and conquered a whole planet. Some aliens think they can make us kneel. Let them try. The girl did not fully understand, but her grandmother's confidence made her feel safer. On Station Harmony, chaos had replaced order. Life support systems failed on 3 decks. The FTL communication network had collapsed. Trade routes were in disarray. Species that had relied on human labor and human technology for generations suddenly found themselves helpless. The Kelvin representative, Ambassador Kren, stood before Veltoth. Her species had been probationary members for 90 years. Chen's revelations had struck her deeply. Hierarch, I must protest the military action against Earth, she said. If the humans' claims are true, the humans are liars and rebels, Veltoth hissed. They will be brought to heel. They are half of our military force, Kren replied. Without them, the Velkar front has already collapsed. Our economy is failing. And you want to attack them? They must learn their place. Perhaps, Kren said quietly, we all need to learn new places. She left the chamber and returned to her quarters. There she composed a message to her home world. The Kelvin people needed to know the truth. They needed to decide their own future. She was not the only one. Across the galaxy, Other probationary species received Chen's data. The press studied it carefully. The Vorlak analyzed every detail. The truth was undeniable. The Council had built an empire on exploitation, and humanity had just torn away the veil. In Earth's oceans, submarines rose from the depths. Each carried fusion missiles that had been developed in secret over the last century. Each captain received the same orders: be ready to defend the homeworld at any cost. In the Amazon rainforest, mobile command centers powered up. In the Himalayas, mountain fortresses opened their blast doors. In the Sahara, underground bunkers filled with soldiers and equipment. Every nation, every people, every human on Earth prepared for what was coming. Children practiced evacuation drills. Hospitals stockpiled supplies. Factories that had made consumer goods retooled to produce weapons and ammunition. Earth transformed itself into a fortress in 72 hours. The Council Armada crossed into human-monitored space. Long-range sensors detected them immediately. 10,000 ships, just as intelligence had predicted. They came in tight formation, confident and unstoppable. Admiral Okafor watched them approach on his tactical display. He had fought alongside Council species for decades. He knew their tactics, their strategies, their weaknesses. They fought wars like chess games, formal and predictable. They had not faced a real war in centuries. Humans remembered war. It was written in their history, in their DNA, in every instinct that had kept them alive on a hostile world. All ships, battle stations, Okafor ordered, send the signal to all defense platforms, activate the swarm, and transmit our message to the Armada. The communication officer nodded and opened a channel. Prime Minister Osei's face appeared on screens throughout the human fleet and across Earth's population. This is Prime Minister Amara Osei of Earth. To the Council Armada approaching our system, turn back. We seek no conflict with you. We ask only for our freedom. But if you continue, if you bring war to our home, we will defend ourselves with every weapon at our disposal. We have spent 150 years learning how to fight. We learned from the best the galaxy had to offer. Turn back now, or learn the lesson you taught us. The transmission ended. On Earth, billions of humans waited. In orbit, thousands of warships prepared. In the asteroid belt, railguns powered up. The swarm launched from Mars, invisible and deadly. The Council Armada did not turn back. Veltoth's response came through clearly: surrender or be destroyed. Admiral Okafor smiled grimly. Well, he said to his bridge crew, they made their choice. Let us show them what humans do to tyrants. He pressed the button that activated all defense protocols. Across the solar system, weapons that had waited 50 years for this moment came to life. The Battle of Sol was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. Earth breaks with the Galactic Council and left the universe in panic. The Council Armada entered the solar system with all the confidence of an empire that had never lost a war. Admiral Kethvar, a Thelian with 4 arms and blue crystalline skin, commanded the fleet from his flagship, the Eternal Mandate. It was the largest warship ever built, 3 kilometers long and bristling with weapons. Scan the system, Kethvar ordered. Locate their military assets. His sensor officer worked for several minutes before responding with confusion in his voice. Admiral, I am detecting unusual readings throughout the system. The asteroid belt shows signs of major industrial activity. Jupiter's moons have structures that are not in our databases, and Mars appears to have launch facilities that... An alarm interrupted him. Sir, multiple missile launches detected from Mars, tracking thousands of objects. No, correction. Millions of objects. They are too small to be standard missiles. The swarm had launched. Millions of AI-guided drones, each following a different trajectory, each adjusting course to avoid the others. They looked like a cloud of metal locusts spreading across space. Point defense systems online, Kethvar ordered. Destroy them. The Council ships fired their defensive weapons. Lasers cut through space, destroying hundreds of drones. But for every one destroyed, 10 more got through. The swarm was too numerous, too spread out, too chaotic to stop. Admiral, the asteroid belt is lighting up, the sensor officer shouted. Energy signatures consistent with mass drivers. Large ones. In Fortress 17, Colonel Santos watched her targeting display turn green. Fire, she said calmly. 200 railgun platforms fired simultaneously. Tungsten rods the size of telephone poles accelerated to incredible speeds. They were simple weapons, just metal moving very fast. But at those velocities, they did not need to be complicated. The first volley hit the Council's leading ships. Shields designed to deflect energy weapons did nothing against solid projectiles. Metal punched through hulls like paper. Ships that had taken decades to build were destroyed in seconds. Evasive maneuvers, Kethvar screamed. Around him his fleet tried to scatter, but they had come in tight formation, and now they were trapped by their own numbers. Ships collided as they tried to avoid both the railgun fire and each other. The swarm arrived. Millions of small drones crashed into ships, each one detonating with surgical precision. They targeted engines, weapons, life support. The drones were too small for the ship's shields to catch, too numerous for point defense to stop them all. In 15 minutes, the Council had lost 300 ships. Fall back, Kethvar ordered. Regroup at the outer system boundary. But as the fleet turned, they found themselves facing a new threat. Human warships appeared from behind asteroids, from the shadow of Jupiter, from positions they had held in perfect silence. 3,000 ships, smaller than the Council's vessels but faster and more maneuverable. Admiral Okafor stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and watched the Council fleet panic. It was almost sad. These ships were built for show, for ceremony, for wars that were more like police actions. They had never faced an enemy that actually wanted to kill them. All ships weapons free, he ordered. Target their command vessels first. Break their coordination. The human fleet split into dozens of smaller groups, each executing complex maneuvers that the Council's computers struggled to predict. Human pilots, trained in combat simulations that made real war look easy, flew like they had been born in space. Missiles streaked across the dark. Human railguns, smaller than the asteroid platforms but still deadly, fired in coordinated salvos. And most devastating of all, human cyber warfare specialists did what humanity did best. They cheated. Commander Zhang worked at her station, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. She and her team had spent years studying Council software. They had built backdoors, found weaknesses, created viruses specifically designed for Council systems. Uploading virus package to the enemy fleet, she reported. Their firewalls are good, but not good enough. Across the Council fleet, ships suddenly lost communication with each other. Weapons systems locked up. Navigation computers provided false information. Shields flickered and died. It was chaos. What is happening? Kethvar shouted at his crew. Why are our systems failing? No one had an answer. The Council's technology was supposed to be superior. They were the advanced civilizations. Humans were the young species, the students, the servants, but students learn, and servants see everything. A human frigate, the UNS Defiant, took heavy fire from 3 Council cruisers. Its shields collapsed, its hull breached. Captain Robert Chen, no relation to the ambassador, made a decision. All crew to escape pods, he ordered. I am engaging Protocol Thermopylae. His officers understood. Some cried, but all obeyed. They evacuated the ship in minutes. Chen sat alone on the bridge, setting the final commands. Protocol Thermopylae was simple and brutal. A ship would position itself close to enemy vessels and activate its FTL drive without proper calculations. The dimensional tear that resulted would destroy everything nearby, including the ship itself. It was a suicide tactic. It only worked once per ship, but it was devastatingly effective. The Defiant jumped to FTL while still inside the battle space. The dimensional wake that followed ripped apart all 3 Council cruisers and damaged 2 more. Captain Chen died with his ship, taking 5 enemy vessels with him. He was not the only one. Across the battlefield, human ships too damaged to survive executed the same protocol. Each time, multiple Council ships died. They are insane, Kethvar whispered. He had fought battles before, but nothing like this. His enemy was willing to die to win. His enemy used tactics that no civilized species would consider. Admiral, we have lost 60% of the fleet, his tactical officer reported. We must retreat. No, Kethvar said. The Hierarch ordered us to bring Earth to heel. We will not fail. He activated the fleet-wide channel. All ships focus fire on Earth itself. If we cannot defeat their fleet, we will destroy their home world. The Council ships that still could fight turned their weapons toward the blue-green planet. Energy weapons charged, missiles locked on target. On Earth, alarms sounded. Billions of people watched the sky and prepared for the worst. But Admiral Okafor had anticipated this. Launch the satellites, he ordered. From orbit around Earth, thousands of satellites activated. They were reflector satellites designed to intercept energy weapons. As the Council ships fired, The satellites positioned themselves in the path of the beams. They could not stop solid projectiles, but energy weapons could be reflected, redirected, scattered. Most of the Council's attack dissipated harmlessly into space. A few beams got through, scorching empty deserts and boiling patches of ocean, but Earth's major cities, its population centers, remained untouched. Now, Okafor said, show them our teeth. Earth had not built its defense only in space. On the planet's surface, massive railguns emerged from hidden silos. They were larger than any space-based weapon, powered by Earth's fusion plants and aimed with the precision of centuries of ballistic research. They fired. Solid slugs, each weighing several tons, launched from Earth at incredible velocity. They crossed the distance to the Council fleet in minutes. When they hit hard. The Eternal Mandate, Kethvar's flagship, took 3 direct hits. Its shields meant nothing against the kinetic force. The first slug punched through the bow. The second destroyed the main reactor. The third hit the command deck. Kethvar died instantly along with 3,000 crew members. The Eternal Mandate broke apart, its pieces spinning into the dark. Without their commander, without coordination, under constant attack from every direction, the Council fleet finally broke. Ships turned and fled, their FTL drives spinning up as fast as possible. The human fleet did not pursue. Okafor had given strict orders: defend, do not conquer. Earth had proven its point. They would not become what they hated. As the last Council ships jumped away, silence fell over the battlefield. The solar system was littered with debris, with damaged ships with escape pods from both sides. Cease fire, Okafor ordered. Begin search and rescue operations. Recover all survivors, human and Council alike. His crew looked at him with surprise. We are not monsters, he explained. We fought to be free, not to destroy. Rescue everyone. Treat the wounded. Give the dead proper honors. Let the galaxy see what humanity stands for. On Earth, people emerged from shelters to see the stars still shining above. They had won. Against impossible odds, against a fleet 10 times their size, they had won. Prime Minister Osei addressed the planet from the UN building. Today we proved that freedom is worth fighting for. We proved that humanity will never again bow to tyrants. But we also proved something else, that we can show mercy even to those who came to destroy us. We are better than the Council. We will build something better. Across the galaxy, species that had watched the battle in real time sat in stunned silence. The Council had sent their mightiest armada to crush a rebellion. Instead, that armada had been shattered by a species they had dismissed as primitive. The Kelvin ambassador stood before her homeworld's parliament and showed them the battle recordings. This is what they did to us, she said. They used us, lied to us, and when one species had the courage to resist, they tried to destroy them. Earth breaks with the Galactic Council and left the universe in panic. 3 months had passed since the Battle of Sol. The galaxy looked different now. Where there had been one council, now there were dozens of independent systems. Where there had been order, now there was chaos. Ambassador Chen Wei stood in what used to be called Station Harmony. The name had changed to Liberty Station, chosen by the newly independent species who now governed it together. He walked through corridors that still showed scars from the infrastructure collapse. Repair crews, mixed species working side by side, fixed what had broken. Ambassador Chen, a voice called. He turned to see Ambassador Kren of the Kelvin approaching. Her species had been among the first to follow Earth's example. Thank you for meeting with me. Of course, Chen replied. Your message said it was urgent? Kren led him to a private conference room. Inside, representatives from 7 other species waited. All of them had been probationary members under the Council. All of them had declared independence. We have a problem, Kren said once the door closed. Our economies are collapsing. Without the Council's trade networks, we cannot transport goods. Without their technical support, our systems are failing. And worst of all, the Hierarchy Alliance is reforming. Chen had heard about the Hierarchy Alliance. It was what remained of the Council, the species who had benefited most from the old system. They were bitter, angry, and determined to restore their power. What do you need from Earth? He asked. A Presh delegate, whose name translated roughly as wise swimmer, spoke up. Their species resembled dolphins, but with 6 fins and bioluminescent skin. We need help, but not the kind the Council provided. We do not want charity. We do not want to trade one master for another. We want partnership. We want to build something new, Kren added. A real alliance where all species have equal say. Where no one is exploited. Where we help each other because it is right, not because we are forced to. Chen felt something stir in his chest. Hope, perhaps. Tell me more. For 3 hours they talked. They discussed shared defense, open trade, technology exchange, and mutual aid. They debated governance structures, voting rights, and how to prevent any one species from dominating the others. Finally, Chen stood. I need to bring this to my government. But I can tell you what I think Prime Minister Ose will say. Earth did not fight for freedom just to stand alone. We fought so that all of us could stand together as equals. Give me 1 week. 1 week later, the Terran Compact was announced. 15 species signed the founding charter. The principles were simple. Mutual defense, free trade, shared technology, and equal representation. Any species could join. Any species could leave. Decisions required majority agreement, and no single species could hold veto power. It was not perfect, but it was better. It was a start. On Earth, reactions were mixed. Many people celebrated the compact as a new beginning. Others were suspicious, remembering how the Council had started with similar promises. Prime Minister Ose addressed these concerns in a speech from the UN building. I understand the fear, she said. We were betrayed once. We gave our trust to the Council and they used us. But here is what I learned from that experience. Isolation makes us vulnerable, but partnership without equality makes us slaves. The compact offers something different. We maintain our sovereignty. We keep our military. We share what we choose to share. And if it fails, we can walk away. We are taking a chance on building something better, but we are not gambling our freedom. The speech was well received. Most humans agreed to give the compact a chance. Admiral Okafor, now promoted to Supreme Commander of the Compact Defense Force, faced different challenges. 15 species meant 15 different military traditions, technologies, and strategies. Creating a unified defense would not be easy. He gathered the military leaders from all member species on Mars, in a command center built deep under Olympus Mons. We are not here to create a single military, he told them. Each of you will maintain your own forces, your own command structures. What we are creating is coordination. When one of us is threatened, all of us respond. But we respond as allies, not as servants to a central authority. A Vorlak admiral whose species looked like bipedal bears covered in black fur raised a paw. What about the Hierarchy Alliance? Our intelligence indicates they are building a new fleet. They want revenge. Let them come, Okafor said calmly. We have something they do not. We actually want to defend each other. They fight to preserve power. We fight to preserve freedom. That makes all the difference. While the Compact organized itself, the Hierarchy Alliance gathered its forces. Veltoth had survived the Battle of Sol and the collapse of the Council. He ruled the Alliance with iron authority, binding together species who mourned their lost privileges. In the Alliance capital, a gas giant station called Dominion's Reach, Veltoth addressed his followers. The humans have poisoned the galaxy with their lies about equality and freedom. They have destroyed millennia of order and tradition. We will restore what was lost. We will remind the lesser species of their place. The Alliance had fewer ships than the old Council, but better quality. These were the species who had possessed the best technology, the most resources, the greatest manufacturing capacity. They had been exploiting others for so long that they had accumulated tremendous wealth. We will strike at the Compact's weakest members, Veltoth continued. We will isolate them, destroy them one by one, and prove that their alliance is built on sand. When they fail to protect each other, the alliance will collapse. Then the humans will stand alone and we will finish what we started at Sol. It was a good plan. It would have worked against the old council system, where species looked out only for themselves. But Veltoth did not understand what the compact truly meant. The first attack came against the Presh Union. 3 Alliance battleships appeared in their home system and demanded surrender. They expected the Presh to capitulate quickly, as they had always done before. Instead, they received a transmission from Wise Swimmer. The Presh no longer kneel. If you want our world, you will have to take it. The Alliance ships attacked. The Presh Defense Force fought back with courage but were outmatched. Within hours, they were being pushed back to their homeworld. Then the compact arrived. 50 human ships, 30 Kelvin vessels, and support from 5 other species jumped into the system. Admiral Okafor himself commanded the relief force from the Indomitable. Alliance fleet, this is Admiral Okafor of the Terran Compact. You are attacking our allies. Stand down immediately, or we will consider this an act of war against all Compact members. The Alliance commander, a Thelian named Vorshek, sneered at the transmission. Humans, I should have known. You think you can police the galaxy now? We are not the rabble you faced at Sul. These are warships of the hierarchy, the finest vessels ever built. I am sure they are very nice, Okafor replied. But you are still outnumbered and outgunned. Leave now and we will allow it. Stay, and we will show you what happens to bullies who pick on our friends. Vorshek cut the transmission and ordered his ships to attack the Compact fleet. It was a mistake. The battle was short and brutal. The Alliance ships were indeed high quality, but they faced an enemy that had trained together for months. Human ships flew in perfect coordination with Kelvin cruisers. Fresh submarines, built for underwater combat but adapted for space, launched surprise attacks from unusual angles. Vorlak ships, heavily armored and slow, served as mobile fortresses that the rest of the fleet could rally around. They fought as one. And they won. 2 Alliance battleships were destroyed. The third retreated, badly damaged. The Presh homeworld was saved. Wise Swimmer transmitted a message to all Compact members. Today the Alliance proved it was real. Today we learned that we truly stand together. Thank you, my friends. Similar scenes played out across Compact space over the following months. Every time the Alliance attacked a member, the entire Compact responded. Species that had never fought together learned to trust each other. Bonds formed in battle, the kind that could not be broken by politics or propaganda. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo, now the Compact's chief science officer, worked on a different kind of unity. She gathered scientists from all member species and created joint research projects. Humans shared their quantum computing advances. Kelvin shared their biotechnology. Presh shared their understanding of fluid dynamics. Vorlak shared their metallurgy. The Council hoarded knowledge, and Sarah explained to her research teams. They kept each species in silos, preventing collaboration. We will do the opposite. Every breakthrough will be shared with everyone. We will advance together. The results were remarkable. Within 6 months, the Compact had made advances in medicine, energy production, and space travel that would have taken decades under the Council system. When species worked together by choice, when they shared freely instead of competing, progress accelerated. But not everything was peaceful. On Liberty Station, tensions sometimes flared between species with different cultures and customs. Humans and Kelvin had a trade dispute. Presh and Vorlak had different ideas about resource allocation. The Compact's governing council argued frequently and loudly. Chen Wei, now Earth's representative to the council, found himself mediating disputes more often than he liked. Earth breaks with the Galactic Council and left the universe in panic. The warning came at dawn. Long-range sensors detected the largest fleet ever assembled entering human space. 5,000 ships bearing the mark of the Hierarchy Alliance, coming from every direction at once. They had planned this carefully, coordinating jumps to surround the solar system. Veltoth had bet everything on this attack. If he won, the Compact would dissolve. If he lost, the Hierarchy Alliance would be finished. Admiral Okafor stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and watched the tactical display. Red dots appeared from every angle, converging on Earth like a closing fist. Beside him, Commander Zhang worked furiously at her station. All Compact forces are responding, she reported. ETA for the nearest reinforcements is 4 hours. The furthest will take 12 hours to arrive, 4 hours. Okafor had to hold the line for 4 hours with just the Sol defense fleet. 3,000 human ships against 5,000 Alliance vessels. Sound general quarters, he ordered. All civilians to shelters. Activate all defense platforms. And send a message to Prime Minister Osei. We will hold. On Earth, alarms sounded across every city. People had practiced this drill 100 times since the first battle. They moved quickly and calmly to underground shelters. Parents carried children. Neighbors helped the elderly. In just 30 minutes, 5 billion people had taken cover. Prime Minister Osei watched from the command bunker beneath Geneva. Around her, military leaders coordinated the defense. She felt the weight of every life depending on her decisions. The Alliance is broadcasting a message, a communication officer said. Put it through, Osei ordered. Veltoth's face appeared on the screen. His serpentine features twisted with contempt. Humans, you have caused enough chaos. Surrender now and we will show mercy. Continue your rebellion and we will reduce your world to ash. You have 1 hour to decide. Osei did not hesitate. Tell the hierarch that Earth does not negotiate with tyrants. We will never surrender. And remind him what happened the last time he came here. She cut the transmission and turned to her military advisors. How long can we hold? Unknown. The defense minister replied honestly. They have more ships and more firepower, but they do not have our advantages. They do not know this system like we do, and they do not have what we have, something worth dying for. The hour passed. When Earth did not surrender, Veltoth gave the order to attack. The Alliance fleet moved in perfect formation, a wall of ships designed to overwhelm any defense. They had learned from the first battle. Their shields were stronger, their tactics more cautious, their coordination better. They did not make the same mistakes twice. The first exchange was devastating. Alliance ships fired energy weapons and missiles in synchronized volleys. The Sol defense fleet scattered, using the asteroids and planets for cover, fighting a mobile defense that made them harder to hit. Fortress 17 fired its railguns, but this time the Alliance was ready. Their shields, recalibrated to handle kinetic impacts, absorbed more of the damage. Only 20 ships were destroyed in the first volley instead of hundreds. They adapted, Colonel Santos muttered. Smart. Then we adapt too, her second-in-command replied. Change firing pattern to Alpha 7. Randomize the timing. The railgun platforms began firing at irregular intervals from unexpected angles. It was less efficient but harder to defend against. The Alliance shields had to constantly reposition and some shots got through. The swarm launched again from Mars, but this time the Alliance had brought specialized defense drones of their own. Millions of drones met millions of counter-drones in a chaotic cloud of explosions between Mars and Earth. Admiral Okafor split his fleet into smaller squadrons, each executing independent operations. Human ships darted in and out of engagement range, never staying still long enough for the Alliance to focus fire. It was guerrilla warfare in space, and humans had been practicing guerrilla warfare for thousands of years. But the numbers told the story. The Alliance had more ships, more weapons, more resources. Slowly, inevitably, the human fleet was being pushed back toward Earth itself. We have lost 400 ships, Commander Zhang reported. Her voice was steady, but Okafor could hear the strain. Defense platforms Charlie Through Hotel are destroyed. The enemy is breaking through on the northern vector. How long until reinforcements arrive? Okafor asked. 3 hours and 20 minutes, too long. At this rate, the Alliance would reach Earth orbit in 2 hours. Okafor made a decision. All ships execute Protocol Thermopylae on my mark. We will buy the time we need. His bridge crew looked at him with shock. Protocol Thermopylae was the suicide tactic, the FTL self-destruct that took enemies with it. If he ordered it for the entire fleet, Earth would be defenseless, but the Alliance would be crippled. Sir, Zhang said quietly, if we do this, most of us will not survive. I know, Okafor replied. But Earth will. Our allies will. The Compact will. That is what matters. He opened a fleet-wide channel. This is Admiral Okafor. I will not lie to you. We are outnumbered and being pushed back. But we have one advantage they do not. We know what we fight for. They fight to preserve their power and privilege. We fight for our home, for our families, for the right of all species to be free. In a few moments, I am going to order Protocol Thermopylae for the entire fleet. Those who wish to evacuate to escape pods have my permission. No one will think less of you. But those who stay will strike a blow that the galaxy will remember forever. There was silence on the channel. Then one by one captains responded. UNS Defiant standing by. UNS Resolute ready, sir. UNS Unbroken awaiting orders. 3,000 captains. 3,000 ships. Not one requested evacuation. Okafor felt tears in his eyes but kept his voice steady. On my mark. 3, 2, 1 mark. The human fleet executed the maneuver as one. 3,000 ships positioned themselves in the middle of the Alliance formation and activated their FTL drives without proper calculations. Space itself seemed to scream. Dimensional tears ripped through the Alliance fleet like invisible blades. Ships that had survived countless battles simply ceased to exist, torn apart by forces that violated the normal laws of physics. When the chaos cleared, 3,000 human ships were gone. So were 4,000 Alliance vessels. The remaining Alliance ships, shocked and scattered, tried to regroup. But they had lost most of their fleet and all of their momentum, and then the compact arrived. From every direction, ships bearing the mark of the Terran compact jumped into the system. Kelvin cruisers, Presh submarines, Vorlak battleships, and vessels from a dozen other species. They had pushed their FTL drives to the breaking point to get here faster. They saw the debris field, the evidence of what the human fleet had sacrificed. They saw Earth battered but unbroken. And they saw the remnants of the Alliance fleet, outnumbered now and surrounded. Ambassador Kren, commanding the Kelvin contingent, broadcast on all frequencies. For Earth, for the compact, for freedom. The compact fleet engaged the Alliance with fury. These were not professional soldiers fighting a distant war. These were allies defending a friend. The difference showed in every maneuver, every shot, every tactical decision. The Alliance ships, demoralized and leaderless after losing so many commanders in the Protocol Thermopylae strike, tried to retreat. But wise Swimmer had positioned the Presh fleet to cut off their escape routes. They were trapped. On the surface of Earth, Prime Minister Osei watched the battle through satellite feeds. She saw the compact fleet fighting with everything they had. She saw Alliance ships exploding, fleeing, or surrendering. She opened a channel to the compact forces. "Thank you," she said simply. "You came when we needed you. We will never forget this." Kren's response was immediate. Earth stood alone once and won. Today Earth did not stand alone. That is what the compact means. The battle ended not with a climactic explosion but with a whimper. Veltoth's flagship, surrounded and damaged, transmitted a surrender. The hierarch himself, who had ruled with absolute authority for centuries, was captured by a boarding team of mixed-species compact marines. The war was over. The hierarchy alliance was broken. The galaxy had changed forever. In the weeks that followed, the full cost became clear. Earth had lost its entire defense fleet. 3,000 ships, 300,000 crew members all gone. Every city held memorials. Every family mourned, but Earth had survived. The compact had held together, and the Alliance had been defeated so decisively that no one would dare threaten the New Order again. Admiral Okafor had survived. He had been on one of the few ships positioned far enough from the others that the dimensional wake had not destroyed it. He spoke at the memorial service for the fallen, standing before a wall that listed every name of every crew member lost in both battles. "They died free," he said. "They died defending not just a planet but an idea, that all species deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. They died so that no one, human or alien, would ever again have to kneel to tyrants. Let us honor them by making sure their sacrifice meant something. Let us build a galaxy worthy of their courage." The compact expanded rapidly in the following months. Species that had been fence-sitting, waiting to see who would win, now rushed to join. Within a year, the compact included 50 species. Within 5 years, it included 200.